But there are some people that some pretty have you guys know Smashing Pumpkins, right?
Oh
Their
yeah,
band.
I think I know where you're. Yeah, I think
Yes.
Have you heard that one?
That's a good one. I was gonna
Wait,
mention
I
that
don't know if I
earlier,
have.
but yeah,
That guy,
Billy
whatever his
Corgan.
name is, Smashing Pumpkins frontman, he's totally like there is Satanism and there is Illuminati in the music industry. Like he's saying he has like firsthand accounts of it. And then there's also like, so we talked about the one eye or the 666 or the owl or like different Egyptian things that are tattooed on people's body or they wear it on a ring or it's in a music video. One of them was like a rabbit. And I don't know what the meaning of a rabbit is, like a rabbit hole or something like that, but there's so many examples of there being just random rabbits in music videos, and it kind of like gives me goosebumps, especially on those good videos on YouTube where it's like creepy music in the background and somebody talking like that, like it's a bot talk, and it's like notice the bunny in the background, and then they'll do notice Rihanna, notice whatever, like they start naming all these ones. You're like, oh my god, it's a lot. Why do they all have?
Follow the white rabbit.
Yeah, why do they all have a rabbit? Why do they all do this at some point? Why do they all do this at some point? Why do they all have a freaking owl? Why is there owls everywhere? Why is there like Egyptian symbols in so much? Why is that? Like, is it just a trend?
That's exactly.
Is it
what I was, sorry, I know Gene got something.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, I said look it up, so I pulled it up and says it's a line from the Lewis Carroll novel Alice in Wonderland and references a belief that there are hidden truths being concealed by a global elite heavily involved in a pedophile network.
See, and so like Omar, I think you were about to jump into that. It's either a trend that other people are picking up on and being like, yeah, like ASAP Rocky, like, dude, I'm just gonna go all out and have a pentagram because like they're putting Egyptian symbols and whatever. And so is it like a snowball effect?
Well,
like the bigger people that do it, the more people are like.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, if you know about trends or if you know about design. If you know about fashion, you know that everyone just copies off of each other. So music videos, you're gonna want to do what Lady Gaga does. That's the good thing to do because she's the best. So you go after her. You do whatever Rihanna does. You get her same tattoo. She has like Egyptian tattoos, and that is super trendy. And what I always do is single out one thing. So instead of just talking about it in general, which makes it conspiracy-y, find that ring that Kanye wears that's weird, and then you find the jeweler that made it, and then you realize, oh yeah, he's just copying. He's a normal guy, and he's just copying the trend. The Louis Vuitton did it, and Hermes did it, and every big fancy company. Exactly.
It's just
and
a design.
The Egyptian thing has been around for a long time. All-seeing eye. Once it gets the mystique about it, it actually becomes cooler, and people want to exploit that. So that's my theory. I don't know, but
Yeah, and that is that's one theory. The other theory would be that it is a tip of the hat to like Illuminati and symbols and things like that. Like, hey, we got you in here. You can even do without the reptile people. Like maybe they're not half reptile, but say there's an Illuminati but no reptilians or whatever. It does leave a lot of speculation to like if every one of these major ones are doing it. And there's stories about like how the Illuminati kind of bring people in, especially when they're going into the music. It seems like the music industry specifically is like they're the most hardcore on doing the symbols, doing a lot of things that, especially with rappers, there's like this big thing about rappers being demasculated. Or emasculated. Is it emasculated or emasculated? So there's this big thing about rappers being emasculated to be like to have like homosexual activities. And wasn't it like Dame Dash that came out and would be like your favorite rapper? I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna put anybody on the bus, but like your favorite rapper, that dude gets with dudes. That dude, like I've seen it. I've been at the highest level with Rockefeller, and like I've had to be a part of that thing where it was like, name your favorite artists, and they're like, hey, take off all your clothes in this meeting. Like, we're not going to talk to you unless you're naked. And they'll like, all right. And it's just this weird, and then you see rappers persona, especially male rappers. Like there was 50 Cent was like a big example. Like the dude has his shirt off. It's and it's cropped abs, and he's like making a, you know what I mean? He's making that famous look where he's like, and it's almost an over sexualized like thing, and for some reason that's to embarrass the artist or to put the artist kind of in their place, and especially in the beginning. And supposedly you see a lot of that right when they first come out. They said it about Eminem too, that's why Eminem had a lot of gay stuff in his, like, even though he was joking, but that was a way of like controlling them. But have you ever heard, is that something y'all have heard about with the Illuminati, or is that something that I just found on my own?
Gene, you wanna weigh in?
I've heard bits of that, like controlling them to kind of.
But like embarrassing them though, like purposely like embarrassing.
Well, and that goes kind of with the control. It's like almost like blackmail. It's like, and that's when you get into like the whole pedophilia thing and stuff like that. It's where they have a lot of dirt on them to where like now we're in control.
No, yeah, that's where I thought you were going with it, Rich. And I think you're not saying that, but I've heard of elite, stories of elite groups of people, or like the Skull and Bones. And the one thing they need to have you initiated is do something risky on camera. We're going to have this. So if you ever get out of line, we're going to leak this. Mm-hmm. They've even said that about our ex-president, that, Russia might have some dirt on him like that. And I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about politics, but it's just things like that. That's a great way to get control over somebody. Like that would be kind of realistic. Like that's, if you're going to be loyal to me, let me have the worst thing you could possibly do on video. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then so what do you use the leverage for? So now you have the leverage.
That's
but
my
why
question.
do you want it, and what do you use it for?
I don't understand why anyone would even do the symbols.
I think it's,
what does that do? Like,
I think it's a tip of the hat. I think it's a way of putting it out there to society, like things that we don't. It's like subconscious. Like we don't really know it and understand it, but there's some part of our brain that's receiving that signal, that message, or some part of it that's getting it. And I think the leverage that they get in the beginning is so that they can say, you're going to do this in a music video. This is going to be your poster for your album. This is going to be what lyrics you put. I want you to talk about this. And so the leverage is in order to purposely promote whatever subconscious things they're trying to put out to general public, because there's like nothing more influential than music, right? I mean, I can't think of anything more influential than music.
Like movies, I guess, would be on the same par. Art,
movies too, yeah.
It's just media in general. I guess now it's
speaking of movies,
the news outlet.
So speaking of movies, the Illuminati and so Illuminati also kind of goes into devil worshipping too, right? Like there's some part of devil worshipping with Illuminati. So with movies, a lot of actors like called method actors, or they call it channeling. And there's this theory that these method actors or these channeling actors are summoning like the devil or some demon to in order to act like the best movie ever. Jack Nicholson was a famous method actor. People would say, like, people outside of the movie set, like he would scare people in the mall because he would never come out of character. And a lot of people believe that was like possession through the Illuminati and through Satanism. The biggest one everybody talks about, and it's linked to Jack Nicholson, is Heath Ledger and his role as the Joker. How did he die? What was the cause of his death? Was it like an overdose or something? I
literally have no idea. I don't remember.
I want to say it was like an overdose or something. So Jack Nicholson played the Joker, and he did it in a little bit different way, but he had that method acting. He didn't come out of character for the whole thing. And they asked him what he thought about it. And Jack Nicholson said, like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much, but yeah, I warned him about that role. Like before he took it, I did warn him that it's
which is crazy.
It's a dark role. Yeah. And so was it the same, like, if Illuminati, lizard people, Illuminati also having to do with like Satanism, or if Satanism is just a fake name for worshiping the lizard people, like it kind of, you could make that argument. I wonder if, so channeling could be like a possession, and maybe the Joker is a character that was brought up by them, and that's like, this is, we want you to like show, maybe it invokes something in people, because I know you get a feeling with music for sure, right? Music can make you happy, music can make you sad, music can change the vibrations of how you feel, right, Gene? Like the vibrations, like like how you feel. Movies can do that too. And so are they purposely trying to evoke some of that spirit into people, like with dark movies or happy movies or sad movies? Like, I wonder if that translates beyond the screen. And that's really, because otherwise, like, why would you care if Heath Ledger gets so deep into the role and dies? Like, how good of a goal would that be? But if your real goal is like, no, we want to conjure that, maybe someone that's on the brink, and get that spirit into them, or that, like, that thought process, that energy. It could happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I did see a little bit.
And Gene, like, you've done a lot of writing in your adult years. I'm playing devil's advocate to what you said, Richard, because I'm a creative person. I've always wrote little things, songs, poems, stories. They go from all, range of the all sides of the spectrum, all ends of the spectrum. So I've had silly, happy stuff to like dark, weird stories, Gene, can you speak on that? I know you've like wrote a lot of stuff. Like, do you feel what I'm saying? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you really get into it, especially like when you go from the writing aspect, I mean, you're creating these characters and their thoughts and those processes. So I don't want to say you're manifesting, but you kind of are that energy in that person. So it is, in a sense, creating itself if you're really diving into it.
Oh, so you do feel like it's coming from like a spiritual, like your creative place.
So you're channeling,
sincerely coming from somewhere else. You feel?
Yeah, I feel like if you really, and this is just me, like if I'm trying to understand the character to get a more natural approach of the writing and how they're acting towards things to where it's more realistic on screen, then you have to imagine what that character is going through and thinking to where you almost,
you get outside of yourself.
So you're not yourself. It's almost like method acting, but you have to know, some people can flip that switch on and off, and some people can't, obviously.
Right.
You're talking about different actors who can't. And, fortunately, I can flip it off, but, you can go into some pretty dark dark places, depending on either what you're writing, coming up with, or if you're playing that role. I think especially if you're playing that role, because now you're physically doing it.
Right.
Like me just writing it, I'm just imagining what the person's doing. And feeling. So that's more of a sense of empathy, and it is a sense of empathy when you're acting, but you're actually like physically doing it, if that makes sense. Like you're doing the act.
Have y'all seen there's an award that it's a famous female actress, and I don't want to say the wrong name just off a bad memory, but it's a famous, and it seemed like it was in the 70s or 80s, and she's recalling a scene she did with Jack Nicholson, and so she goes, Jack, I guess they co-starred in the movie, and she won, whatever part. She won the lady actor part for being a lady actor. I bet they had awards like that in the 70s, like best lady actor.
They didn't know.
And still called like lady doctors. Is this a lady doctor? So she's recalling a scene that's famous in the movie. And she goes, Jack, I know you're going to remember it. It was a love scene that we were about to do. And I swear to God, when it panned to him in the crowd, he was like, like he had that Jack Nicholson almost like, where are you going with it? Like, I don't know if this is a good story to tell. He probably knew exactly. And she goes, and I'll never forget, Jack, there's that moment where it's the height of the scene and you let out a yell. But you had two voices came out of you. Do you remember that, Jack? And he's like, and he looks
probably trying to forget
so uncomfortable. And she goes, I remember it was a low voice and a high voice at the exact same time. And Jack kind of looked at me and he said, I guess I messed up that scene. And I told him, no, you're channeling. And it just kind of made me feel like, and of course I'm watching it in a creepy video and I'm like, Oh, so that's what, like, possession, maybe, like two different voices at the same time coming out, and he's, maybe that's a deal that he made with the Illuminati. Like, okay, make me the best actor, like, but I'm not a good actor, so I'm gonna have to, like, just whenever I need it, I'm gonna summon it, and y'all better give it to me, and that's how I'm gonna be like one of the best actors the world has ever seen. But I mean, that's a theory. I don't know that, but that was just such an odd little story. Like, I've never had a moment where I made two sounds at the same time. I've never, like, no one has that story. Like, hey, remember when you had that high voice and the low voice, and it came out at the same time, like that. And she seemed to have no problem telling the story. Like, it's almost like she was so innocent, she didn't realize that, like, hey, you're gonna creep people out. Like, there's gonna be a lot of tabloids about this, and you could tell Jack Nicholson knew that it was like, oh, I wish you didn't tell that story.
Like, oh, shit.
That's weird.
Yeah.
No, I never saw that.
Going back to into the Illuminati, one of the most well-known secret societies is the Illuminati, and according to some theorists, they are controlled by the Dracos. This idea was put forward by a man named Stuart Swerdlow, who claims he was a survivor of the Montauk Project. This is interesting. In his book, Blue Blood, True Blood, Conflict and Creation, he claims that there are 13 royal families of the Illuminati. The leader of the Illuminati is called the Pindar, which is shortened from Pinnacle of the Draco, and is a purebred reptile. According to Swerdlow, the Pindar is the head of the Rothschild family, who has been the Pindar for centuries. The 12 other families, all of them incredibly powerful, influential, and rich, have different areas of expertise, and they control global finances, military, technology, and development, mind control, religion, and the media. All of the 13 ruling families are full-blooded reptilians, but the class of individuals who support the 13 families, called the Committee of 300, are not. In fact, some of them do not even have any reptilian DNA, though most do. The Committee of 300 supports the 13 families by controlling the organizations like the NSA, the CIA, Interpol, and the Mafia, just to name a few. So going into that, I mean, I'm not saying this, but, going back to when we were talking about, like, the Justin Bieber thing, that could be a, that could be somebody who is like the Committee of 300, if that makes sense. Like, you're not necessarily a reptilian or a part of that, but you're kind of like...
Or it could even be just somebody that, like, the Committee of 300 sought after to be like, hey, you got decent talent, you could be a star, we can make you a star, but you're gonna have to, like, do some weird stuff that we're gonna film, and then forever, like, you're gonna be at our beck and call. Like, if we want this sort of imagery or this sort of lyrics, like, we're gonna get our way. Or you'll never, like, we'll make sure you never, get a contract in the music industry.
They'll just cancel them. Cancel culture. I mean, we see it a lot now.
I don't know if cancel culture is a part of it.
Not cancel culture, but well, they have the power to literally, they can kill anyone's career in a heartbeat.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We've seen that.
Yeah, but without it being like a group,
culture,
like a ground swelling where a bunch of people get together and, like, cancel it. I think they could just naturally take away someone's career.
Yeah, that's.
I think Neo mentioned. Do y'all remember Neo?
Wait, from the Matrix?
Dude.
The singer Neo.
Just kidding. Sorry.
Neo's been pretty public about he thinks that he calls it like a higher power or the powers that be, he spoke out too much about, like, how unfair artists were getting paid and stuff like that, and they just were kind of like, okay, fine, your career's dead. Yeah. Like,
his career.
Yeah.
And he was never able to make a hit again.
That guy come out in different, like, shows and stuff like that. He's still relevant. I've seen him recently, but. They always say the same thing, and I'm sorry. I hope people are not, like, wondering, like, why is Omar always saying something? Because it's something that we've thought about, and I've heard about this since I was, like, 13 years old. So I'm not trying to be combative or anything like that.
That's perfect.
I'm just talking.
And
that's kind of what they say about Dave Chappelle too. Everyone always says the same thing. He was the famous interview. I was standing there and across from me was Hollywood, and they were saying, you have to do this, and he freaked out. He walked away from $50 million. Like, who can say they could do that? And
Right.
he went into hiding for years at the top of his game. One of the most popular shows on television at the time. So that's huge, but made a comeback. The best in the world already again, like the best comedian in the world. Like,
Good example, really good example.
Yeah,
Unless he made another
he's
deal.
so like that guy is so
I don't
in
think
tune.
so.
Like right now, all his talks are just they're really good. He's on point.
Think about it, though.
So I don't know, man. And about
I
the
just want it.
I know. I just wanted to be like, no,
the
he probably
Bieber
made a
thing
second
too.
deal.
I still cannot. I still cannot figure out. Okay, now we're going to where he's not a reptile, but his eyes did the thing in those videos. Like y'all,
Right. No. Okay, so the video of him in jail, what I was saying is not blinking this way like a reptilian, but he's looking and like it's the fastest blink you've ever seen in your life. But that could also be like whatever drug makes you feel hyper. I'm sure we all know, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like
4K footage, or is it a grainy bad video? Because a bad video is going to have ridiculous.
Well, but there's
artifacts.
it's not a 4K thing, but it's not. There's no supernatural thing that happens
It's not.
in
It's
the
usually
video.
not. Like artifacts just
They're-
look like it looks real, but it's not. On well,
Yeah, I mean, but his eyes are like darting everywhere, and he blinks like super fast. Like you can't. It's just really fast and like really like it almost looks like he's glitching. Like but there's no effect on the screen to show a glitch. It just looks like as a person he's having like not a seizure, but like a glitch. Like his body's but nothing else is glitching. There's nothing else in the video that's glitching. Yeah, I guess you just have to see it,
and then I'll believe.
and then you'll believe. And then you'll believe in the lizard people.
And you'll believe. That's all it takes, dude. That's all
Hey,
it
have
takes.
y'all heard? And this will probably wrap up what we're doing. Have y'all had a chance, or not a chance? Have y'all ever heard of the Rain Man theory with Illuminati?
I touched on, or I looked at it a little bit earlier when I was doing some research, but I've got nothing, so no. Let's hear
So
it.
Rain Man is a part of the Illuminati, and supposedly it's like one dude, and he's the money guy. He's the guy that gets you your money. He gets you your contract, gets you paid, and they all call him Rain Man for whatever reason. Jay-Z has several
That's what it was.
interviews.
Jay-Z, yeah.
Several, and not just Jay-Z, but Jay-Z especially has several interviews, which also Jay-Z has the whatever mark and like the thing over his head, that's considered an Illuminati symbol, which I'm sure, like you said, if it was a trend, he might have done that on purpose to be like, oh, they're going to talk about me. They're going to be like, oh, is he Illuminati? Is he whatever? I feel like Jay-Z's smart enough to pick up on that and do subtle things on purpose to where people are like, is he Illuminati? Is he not? Like, man, that he must be. And it also brings like a lore to him. So there's two sides of that with Jay-Z. But the Rain Man thing didn't seem like that because he didn't even explain it. He was in it's a couple interviews and he does it like this usually. It's like, so Jay, like, how do you write your lyrics? How do you come up? And he's like, I can't really explain it. It's just like I just go into my Rain Man. It's the same thing with my performances. Like I don't like if I'm not Rain Man, like I'm not able to. And so Rain Man supposedly is just like being that helps you out to get money and to be like flashy. And then Beyonce also had a story where she talked about her second personality, Sasha Fierce or whatever. And the way she described it, she was like, I remember it was one of the BET Awards that she was first going to perform at. She's like, I just remember I put my hands up in the sky and I closed my eyes before I went out there and I just felt this like take over me. I don't know how to explain it, but something took over me. And then I knew like that's and she was like, Sasha Fierce can hit notes that I can't hit. Sasha Fierce can do dance moves that I can't hit. And of course they're showing like all the Super Bowl commercials or the Super Bowl halftime where she's making the most like demonic faces you could ever make, but she's just trying really hard. But it is kind of weird how they explain that. Like, and there's some other artists too, but I'll let y'all I'll let y'all
In
kind of
pop
react
culture,
to that.
what is Rain Man? Y'all know the movie Rain Man? So he's a savant.
Yeah,
He's kind
yeah.
of like a slow, but he's super smart and super good with numbers. I see that super easily. Anyone saying like, I just got to get in my Rain Man, where I'm just like peak brain, because so that to me that would explain that.
And hip hop culture has a tradition of not saying things in the most direct way. Like there's a tradition of being smart
Yeah.
with your words. Like it's like slang. I go into my Rain Man, and
Oh my
people are like,
yeah.
"What?" Like they're
Jay-Z is
purposely
the
saying
best
things that
at
you
that,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But they know what
So
it means.
that's what that sounded like.
But the only one that doesn't is the Eminem Rain Man song. It's about him
never heard
selling
that
his soul to the devil, and
Oh, shit.
he's not in control in his life anymore. And he goes, he starts it off with, it's like dun 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 dun, dun I'm Rain Man, bum 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 ba dun dun dun, and it's like I sold my soul to the devil. I'll never get it back. But they have the lyrics on it.
That's crazy. I never heard that.
It's just a weird, but it could be just for shock value. Eminem literally is a shock rapper. Like that's what he does. He does
Yeah.
shock rap. So was it shock rap? And he kind of knows about these theories about the Rain Man. He's like, oh, they'll eat this up. They're gonna eat this
he's also
up
a rock and roll guy.
forever.
If you've ever seen like documentaries on him, he loves like rock and roll, and that's like a big part of his past is real rock and roll music. And rock and roll, the roots are in Satan. Even if it's just for show, if they know that people get crazy off of it, I don't
Right.
know. But so
Shock value.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's part of rock and roll. I don't, that doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't. Dude, it's Eminem. Yeah, that guy is the craziest guy. But it is weird.
But if
Yeah.
anyone is like given
to name it
superpowers,
Rain
it would
Man.
be
I've
Eminem.
never heard the song. I have to read the lyrics, but I don't understand that connection. That's a weird
Yeah.
one. Like
That is a weird
It
one.
could, it could also be an alter ego to like going back to flipping the
He
switch
has
on
so
him.
don't
many
see why he
alter
would-
egos
yeah.
though,
Well, I'm not talking about.
and he only did it for
I'm-
one
I'm-
song. He only
I'm
did it
talking
for
about
one song.
more, I'm talking more about the Jay-Z and
No,
Beyonce,
yeah.
Sasha Fierce thing.
Yeah, they're saying it's alter egos, but the argument is that is it an alter ego in the sense that like I'm a different person at work than I am at home, or is it an alter ego of something like you channel into this whole like different type? Because the way Beyonce described it was not like, okay, I'm Richard at work, but that same Richard is not the same way when I hang out with Omar, Gene, and all our friends. Like, I'm obviously still the same person, but I'm more of myself when I'm not at work, or I'm not like at a church, or I'm not at I don't know, like a public place, like at a Walmart. So the way she described it, the Sasha Fierce one was creepy. That one was really like, that one kind of made me like, you're describing possession like so on point. You're not even trying to hide it. Like it just sounds like you got possessed by Sasha Fierce, which could be whatever. But also, I mean, fighters talk about it too. Like it turns on it like there's nicest guy in the world on the streets, but when I get in that fight mode, when I'm in the cage, when I'm fighting, I'll, like I would bite your neck, like if I had to win.
You can't be like that all the time, and so maybe that's just a way to cope with it.
Could be. Or
Because
it could
it's
be
like, okay,
she's
cool,
being possessed by the demon.
reptile.
Yes, that is true. That is another one. But
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know. I don't know at all. Okay, finally, their goal. What the H do these guys want?
HE.
The biggest
double
question.
hockey stick.
The biggest question surrounding the reptilian conspiracy theory is, why would they do it?
Right.
Again, there is much debate to this. One belief is that they need our gold to help stabilize the atmosphere on their own planet. Another theory is that they just have a need for power and control, and they enjoy living life as rulers. A third, incredibly metaphysical explanation involves the reptilians living in the lower fourth dimension. Essentially, one of the main things that the reptilians try to do is cause human suffering and to ensure there is constant conflict. The reason they want this is because the reptilians actually consume negative energy like jealousy, fear, and anger as a source of food. Of course, without much proof that these giant, shape-shifting, interdimensional humanoid reptiles that have mastered intergalactic travel even exist, it's hard to know what their true master plan
Dude, okay, Gene believes it. I already know Gene believes this stuff.
Just that sentence was
that last sentence was my
cold.
favorite part of this whole thing.
So, without knowing for sure if they're intergalactic traveling beings or not, it's really kind of hard to say what their goal would be. Like, oh, for real? You think so? I think so too.
No. That's the only reason I wanted to read that, was for that last sentence.
Well, I'll start with myself, if I believe it or not. Lizard people, no. I don't believe there's a lizard race. Illuminati, yes. I don't know if they call themselves the Illuminati, and I also don't know if they're out for bad or for good, but I do believe there's an elite class of very small group of people that run most of the world. And whether it's for good or bad, I don't know, but I do believe that there is some sort of conspiracy of them getting, because conspiracy just means like they've all worked together. So conspiracy of wealthy people, the wealthiest of people, that come together to either push their own self-interest, or maybe it could be to better all of humanity. I don't know. And then Satanism, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I think there are spiritual realms. Like, I'm not an atheist. I would definitely, like, if someone were to be like, are you a Christian? I would tend to be like, well, yeah. I mean, I was raised Christian. It feels good to me. It feels right. Like the Christian faith. But just being like an honest, like, do I believe it for sure? Is it Satanism that's part of the Illuminati, and Satanism that's the whole point, that they're doing the 666 and whatever to like give praise to Satan? I don't know. That one, I'm maybe not even 50-50. Maybe I believe it like 30%. So, okay, lizard people 0%, Illuminati 100%, Satanism attached to the Illuminati 30%. Gene, take it over.
Me?
What do you got?
So I believe that there are definitely aliens.
Okay.
Obviously, that we're not the only life.
Let's stick with lizard. Gene, there's three things. Wait, hold on.
And that that's opening the door to aliens.
Okay.
I mean, that opens the door to.
Let me help you along, Gene. Lizard people, yes or no?
Yeah, 70% lizard people.
Okay. Illuminati, yes or no?
100% Illuminati.
And then the Satanism thing. That kind of goes along with Illuminati.
Let's hear Gene out. Like, I want to hear what Gene has to say.
I want to limit Gene.
He wants to limit me.
I want to limit.
This is a classic example.
I'm a lizard. What do you want?
Overlord trying to.
I'm a lizard.
Restrict my
but sum
train
it up.
of thought.
Don't go into the weeds.
Right.
Don't go into
Omar's
the weeds.
right. Omar's right.
I will sum it up. So, I will sum it up. I believe in aliens. Therefore, I do believe that reptilians can exist.
No, that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
What do you mean it's not good enough? I definitely believe in the possibility.
Of course, I believe in the possibility of a lot of things. No, what do you believe is true or not true? Don't give a weird answer. Like, go for it. Tell us what you really think.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It's one of those 50-50 things. I'm 50-50 on the reptilians.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm definitely 100% Illuminati, or just these secret societies in general.
Sure.
I think there's enough proof that there is obviously some kind of overrule. And we've been around for so long that it would just make sense for power to migrate to certain factions. As far as Satanism goes, I don't know enough about it to really agree with it yet. Obviously it's there. They're doing these symbols and all that, but that could just be
like a trend
or a trick to throw you off,
right?
Like a classic red herring, like, oh, they're doing this, so you think it's Satanism, when it's actually something else. which would be the smarter way of doing it. Because, in my opinion, it'd be kind of dumb if you're trying to hide this society
exactly.
by putting out.
Dude, such a good point. Such a good point,
on
because it's the same thing I've always said about like demon possessions. Like, and I believe this. Like, I guess I'd say I'm more agnostic. Like, I believe there is a supernatural something. I just don't know for sure, like, what it is, right? But I feel good about Christianity. Christianity does feel like my home. Like, I feel like I'm most comfortable in that. And there are things that still ring true to me. And so if there is this anti-savior, like a devil, and it wouldn't suit him at all to show himself or to make himself known, because it would just drive more people to the opposite of what you're trying to drive them to, which is God. And it's the same thing I've always believed in, like demon possessions. Like, why would the devil allow any demon to possess anybody? Because all that's going to happen is everybody in that family is going to be the most religious family for all of the rest of like time. Like, that's all that's going to happen. So you might get one of them, but the rest of them are going to turn into it. So it's the same thing. Yeah, you're right. Like, if there is this Satanist Illuminati thing, why are they being so blatant about the 666? Why are they being so blatant about the owl? Why are they being so blatant about the ring with like the goat head and the horns? Or like, why would they want to be out there? They can, if control and moving people to a certain way is their goal, they could do that without being so obvious. Like, there wouldn't be.
I think.
But like the worst villain.
That's a good point, Gene. That's a really good point.
Cool. If we're talking about, it's funny because Satan worshiping or Satanism, however you called it, that's the only one I think is the most realistic. Oh, and yes, I am a Christian. I believe in the Bible, but celebrities doing that does make it cool. Makes us more open to being okay with things like that. I'm not saying that that's exactly what I believe is going on. I'm saying I understand the logic of it. If there's an evil person that just wants death and destruction, and to what you were saying about people getting possessed and their family becomes Christian, or all of a sudden, not necessarily. They also have lots of doubts. The second something bad happens, the devil comes into your life, it gives you like, why did God let this happen to me? Well, true. For whatever reason, you opened yourself up to it. The devil took his chance, and they don't turn Christian. They become resentful towards God, and I've seen it happen so many times. You could lose your faith over stories. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jump in on Gene's time, but I just wanted to say something about that because
it's your time.
No, yeah, and that makes sense. You know, that is true. Going back to the whole Satanism thing, you know, making it more accepted, or not making it more accepted, but making it cool almost.
Yeah, making it cool, or it's just anti-culture. So whatever shock you can do, that's what you do.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you just get more, like, so if your parents, and like kind of the rule music always has kind of followed, if the parents hate it, then it's gold. Yeah. Like, if your parents hate that music, then, well, perfect. So it's just gotten more extreme over time, because Elvis at one point was like the Eminem of his time. Like, parents hated Elvis, and the way he moves his hips and just the way he kind of it's just so sexual. And we look at today's artists where they're like, you can't even repeat, you couldn't even repeat some of the lyrics that are being said on some of these songs. And of course, parents are going to be like, oh my God. But we're so desensitized, we've gotten to the point where like, what can we do to make parents, I know, let's do Satanist stuff. Let's do a pentagram with salt in a rap video and have A$AP Rocky stand in the middle, because parents are going to hate it. Mm-hmm. And it's just gotten so desensitized, they had to get to that level.
Even Eminem would say his earlier self was on purpose trying to go against the teeny boppers that were there with him, the Britney Spears. He said, that's what I want, to go against those people. But it turns out people were just in love with him and them the same. Like, they like Britney Spears and Eminem, and he said that drove him crazy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, what can I do this is tough.
All right, Omar. It's your turn. Let's hear your synopsis.
I believe it all. Right to the end.
Which is just like, yeah,
I knew it.
I
knew it.
All right, I think it's obvious what I'm gonna say. So which one are we doing first? Reptiles. Only because
Lizard people.
kind of what Gene said. The possibility, I will never say something is impossible. But I've seen no evidence. Right. All of those things that I've seen, the kind of conspiracies about it, I've heard for forever since I was 14 years old. So I kind of like, yeah, I don't believe it. So 0% on reptiles. What was the next one? I'm sorry. Illuminati. No,
Illuminati.
I think we've probably talked about this too before, like a lot of times. No, not
for
at all.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think that.
But even as a force for good, what about like as a force for good?
I don't believe that. I think that. Well, let me put it this way. I think I've told you this before. By nature of a capitalist society, people that are smart, they rise to the top with their big businesses and they become very powerful where they influence a big part of society.
Sure.
Amazon has put X amount of businesses out of business and they've taken over so many sectors. Right. So I don't think that was organized. I think he was very smart and he did what he did because in America you can do whatever you want. And same thing with Elon Musk and I don't see that all these people are coming together. I think that they're just getting, the market is deciding whose company is the best. It rises to the top. They get very powerful. Right. Now, if there's something I can say, maybe the ethical part of that is up for debate, whether they should be that powerful. And they probably lobby to keep that power. Right. So if you want to get there, I see that, but that's out in the open. They do that right in front of our face.
Sure.
So do I think that there's a secret room where they're making
like a secret society or a secret meeting
I do
every
think
year
that billionaires get together and do billionaire things. I know that there was that one, the Bohemian Grove that Alex Jones broke into, and that was cool. It was an owl.
Yes, and it was an owl.
Burning the effigy.
Dude, it was an owl.
I saw it, and that's crazy.
That's
at a certain point. If you're that wealthy, that powerful, I think you have to do weird stuff like that and feel like you're part of a club. But I sincerely don't think that they're changing the world. Maybe manipulating the stock markets and doing things to benefit themselves financially. But, I don't think it's like population control. They're killing off of half of the people with vaccines. I don't believe any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, but
they are though.
Yeah, but they are.
And Satanism is pretty much what I said. I believe in the devil. I believe in Satan. I don't know if Satanism, how much of it is true. Like what part of it is people faking possessions or being really possessed, or which part of the music industry people are doing symbols because of Satanism or because it's a trend or cool. I don't know.
Right.
So I guess it depends on your definition of Satanism.
True. So the artist is genuinely doing the symbols of Satanism or Illuminati or ancient Egyptian to genuinely give credit or to show loyalty to Satan. That's what I mean. Not just as a trend, but as a genuine, okay, I made a contract with the devil, and part of it was to make every video something where I could show to him that I'm still thinking about him and I'm so loyal to him.
Very far-fetched. I see the devil's a very powerful entity, and I see if someone wanted to, try to exploit that, get in goods, or how, now I sound silly saying this stuff, but honor or worship, I don't see why that would at all be far-fetched. So that's believable.
And I could see it to a point where even if they've never physically met the devil, but maybe they just notice hey, all these successful people are kind of putting these kind of demonic symbolisms in their photo shoots, in their posters, in their videos, their music videos. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe I'll try it. like to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to try to like just get their attention. But then again, by the time you see somebody doing that kind of stuff, it's usually not like independent artists that do that. That's what's kind of weird about it. It's usually like the top 50 pop stars.
But it also,
including rap
but
and
the way
whatever. But
reason it, and I've said this before earlier. Maybe I didn't explain it that well. I break it down specifically. So if you find the video where whoever artist is doing something weird, then you realize it was whatever company that hired the director out of 10 potential directors. They found this one because that was the one available. Then they had, the idea for it. Then you can find video of them in a meeting saying, let's discuss this video. Oh, it's going to have this imagery. I don't see the dark guy in the shadow being like, hey, putting a gun, like, you have to use this director, this writer. That's where it gets, when you talk about the specifics, it breaks down. And that's why I always say, break it down to like the thing and find the designer, the artist, and I can't see that.
But how do you explain every single major artist having this picture?
That's the kind of weird thing.
How do you explain, why is every... No, it means the 666
it's out of our
I know that. I'm just saying.
Universe, out of our ecosystem, that to get like let's say 50 photo shoots a week, or however, I'm saying at any number. Let's say 25 photo shoots a week. That is not that hard to believe. I'm sure that there's thousands and thousands of pictures every week that these, maybe not great publications, maybe for this magazine, maybe not all of them come to light, but that is, to me, there's only so much things you could, so many things you could do in a photo. It's not that hard to believe.
Yeah, it's just that there's more that there's that. And then there's, in some way, in what it could be a hand, it could be like an album logo, it could be a lollipop that's like covering. There's always something where it covers one eye. And then there's also the bunny rabbit, like either bunny ears or bunny rabbits. There's also the owl appears like in so much, like it seems to be like a repetition of that. And so I could see the argument of whoever got famous first doing that kind of, well, I mean, you could go all the way back to like Elizabeth Taylor and like her Egyptian makeup and like being like, you could go, I mean, honestly, you could go all the way back to who was the queen of Egypt that was like hooking up with Alexander from Greece. She's known for like her sexual prowess. Cleopatra has been a major, like, in her time, she's considered the most beautiful, the most like sexual female, like attracted all the major people in the world. That's what saved Egypt from getting annihilated by Alexander the Great when he had his big campaign. Like, there was a natural route to take out Egypt, and he just simply didn't. And it was because he was lovers with Cleopatra. But maybe since that, it's just been like, okay, well, Cleopatra gained that much power and that much sex appeal and that much like whatever, especially with female artists, like it's just still being emulated today.
Yeah.
That's all, like it could be that simple, I guess.
When something has a cool look.
Or it could be the devil.
Look or vibe. That's where I was going with the fashion and design. You steal it. You see people, the aesthetic of Vikings
For sure.
is cool. The aesthetics of the Greeks, it has its own thing. The aesthetics of the Egyptians, it's all relevant. Exactly.
You see it in football. You remember the Wildcat craze? Everyone had the Wildcat. Like one team did the Wildcat, did good, and then the next year everybody had a Wildcat. It's just natural to try to copy whatever's successful. Whatever's working.
I don't want to get into research and all that stuff, or the topic of research, because that's boring. But if you heard about it first and they're making all these you've heard about what the conspiracy is, and then they're making the connections after the fact. That's pretty convenient. And if I spent my life making videos that jumping jacks were satanic, and then you start seeing them everywhere, people do a lot of jumping jacks, and when they have the X, that stands for something satanic. You know what I mean? Like it's very easy to just randomly associate two things that have no. A lot of artists make a lot of silly faces. It does not mean anything. I can probably find them doing other things too.
Okay. I will tell you the one-eyed versus the two-eye is directly in the Bible. So it's considered to be like how 666 is the antithesis of like God created the earth in 6 days and whatever. Like there's a meaning behind 666, right? I don't know if that's exactly. Do you know what it is? Well, it's the mark of the beast, but why is it 666? It's like the opposite. It's like almost mocking something. I forgot what it is. Or like why some demon, like when they mess with you, like you always wake up at 3:33. It's like the opposite of 666. I don't know. But 666 has more than just the mark of it is the mark of the beast. But the reason it's the mark of the beast is because it's in some way it's mocking something in the Bible, and I forgot what it was. Well, they believe the one eye marks in the Bible. There's a passage of and it sounds like it's just describing someone, but if you take the context of what the passage means, so it's talking about that God's creation has the two eyes, two lips, one nose, one tongue, and by this you'll know God's creation. And so they mean it to be like, I'm not God's creation. I have one eye.
That's a convenient
I don't have two eyes. I have
though,
one.
Like
Well, but it does kind of fit. I mean, it does kind of. That is a sneaky little way to be like.
I guarantee you, I can find every single one of those artists having in one way, either they're laughing, coughing, or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They do the same thing where they cover their mouth, and that's the two lips.
No, man.
That's the two lips.
There's a limited amount of things that people can do. And when you take a lot of pictures of someone,
I mean,
and
if
they're
you're
like,
looking for it, you're going to find it.
You do.
No, but there are, and there's also the bunny rabbits. Don't forget about the bunny rabbits. Every girl artist have done the bunny rabbits.
For like,
why?
Since we were kids, bro.
I've been peace out.
Yeah, because we've seen it from these satanic Illuminati people. And now it's just like
doing it.
That's why we're doing it.
That's why we're doing it as kids. We've been.
But I'll be honest with you. It really, I've always had it like, oh, they're against us. They're out to get us. They're out to hurt us and do everything they can to make themselves. But you're right, like you said, Omar. Like, I'm not I don't feel enslaved. I have a home. Like I have a nice home. I have a wife. We got great parents, and I have a great sister and friends and their family, and I don't know, my job is great. I love my job. I love hanging out with you guys and doing podcasts and just talking about whatever we want. Like, I don't feel like my life has been directed in any way, or like moved to, and maybe that's by design. Like if that's sort of like, yeah, but there's certain boundaries that keep, and so you keep yourself within the boundaries, and it could be that. But my big thing is like, well, I believe that there is a society that kind of definitely takes a lot. They have the majority of the power in the world, as far as especially economic power. But who's to say that they're being bad with it? You know what I mean? Like, because society has basically improved over time. I know, and I'm the biggest one to talk about income equality. But I wonder if, like, are there more homeless people or less homeless people? Is there more poverty in the world, or is there less poverty in the world over time? Like, if it's getting less and less, and so, yeah, the income gap is different, but overall people are doing better. What if there's just something more than we don't know? It's like, no, this is better for you guys. Like, we have all the money, and you guys just have the. It's better It's better this way. Trust me.
One arguing, and this is just to play the devil's advocate on it. Like one arguing theory to that, is that humans in general are capable of a lot more than we've been trained to think.
Sure.
And so a lot of these things that we think we're happy, we think we're fine, we're actually capable of a lot more and a whole other stage
Right.
of consciousness and happiness. But because we're so content with everything now, like that is the prison. Like that is the perfect prison where.
And that did tie into
that's
your,
what a lot of people. That's what a lot of people talk about.
that did tie into like the waves that they send out to like prevent us from using all our brain, and also to make us feel like content and lazy, and it just makes us easier to control.
Yeah, and that's just one other side to that,
I don't know, bro. That sounds pretty convenient.
or the other side of it, I guess. It does. Well, it does. I mean,
Well, there's a
that's
lot
the
of
beauty
things that are
these theories,
convenient.
I wanted to say something.
Doesn't mean they're not true.
I wanted to
Okay.
say, bring back what you brought up about Smashing Pumpkins, just real quick, because I thought you were gonna be more like specific about it. Did you see the interview with Billy Corgan where he swears? I don't know if it was Rogan or the what is it, the Hee Hee podcast, and he was explaining being at a party and turning around. I'm gonna fumble this, but y'all go look it up. It's super cool. And he turned around and saw someone like not in their. I don't know if it was reptile or what, but he saw someone shapeshift before his eyes, and they kind of like talk like look. I don't know if they were just like normal afterwards or what. He explains it pretty well, but he said he had a book in the works that he wanted to write about that because it freaked him out, and he swears by that. And that is really cool. Like, I don't know, that doesn't make me believe this or that, but I just thought, whoa, because you can look it up right now. He seemed so sincere, and so that's a pretty cool. I thought you were gonna get into that whenever you brought up Smashing Pumpkins.
No, I just
Thanks,
I just had seen the.
How convenient.
I had just read like a little bit like that he said he something like that, like he's seen firsthand accounts, and that's why he believes that there's like shape shifting beings that control the music industry. But I didn't know that exact story. That's a good story.
I don't do it justice.
And speaking of YouTube, I will tell you something.
Oh yeah,
have you noticed? Okay, so the video I sent you guys, that was a video of a reaction, right?
Half of it.
Oh, so annoying.
Right.
I couldn't finish it.
The only reason I sent you that is because I could not find the original. And I'm telling you, like in 2014, 2013, so around like 2013 to 2016, there were nothing but these serious documentaries on Illuminati, on Satanism, on whatever, and you cannot find them anymore. You can't find them. And it only makes me think, conspiracy theorists, it only makes me think like, oh, well, so YouTube is controlled by Illuminati, and they're like, hey, they're getting too good at exposing us, take them down. Because there's still... No, because if you go into YouTube and you put Illuminati, you're going to have BuzzFeed, you're going to have like you have all these, and they make it fun. It's like, hi, welcome to BuzzFeed. Today we're talking about the Illuminati. Oh, so Beyonce, do you think she's a devil worshiper? I don't know. And it's just this weird, like, that's not what you had before. So why do those get to stay? Why did the silly stuff get to stay? The stuff that's like obviously mocking it, but the real good ones, the ones that I could easily be like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, wow, that is a coincidence. That is kind of spooky. How come those all went away?
Yeah,
unless there's
honestly,
a conspiracy.
Back to what I was saying about how society is set up in like a capitalistic way. The algorithm kind of is that. It's because over these like a lot of years of YouTube, I don't know, YouTube came out in the early 2000s or late 2000s, like 2009, 2008.
I don't know.
I don't know when I don't remember when they came out.
The big companies rise to the top. The stuff that is more likable, the pop songs of the genre, because I know what you mean.
Right.
I don't see that stuff, but there's like billions of people joining every hour. I don't know. I'm just saying any numbers, but it's growing at such an alarming rate.
Or it's a conspiracy, bro. Or it's a conspiracy, and they're purposely hiding these ridiculously good. Dude, they even would do one about like Disney and old school like cartoons and stuff like that, having like really like suicidal episodes and like just really weird stuff that like it's almost like the first few cartoons kind of trick parents into being like, oh, this is great for my kid. And then like 6 or 7 episodes into a cartoon, they'd get real dark for no reason.
Yeah.
Very adult. And almost stuff like killing your parents and just weird stuff like they would do. But I can't find those videos
It's funny
anymore.
Where
did they go?
I keep blabbing.
And
Okay.
No, please.
It's funny
no,
what
please,
you said
please.
about not finding that video, because when you sent it to me, I started watching it, and just to let the audience know, he sent us a video about the Illuminati reptiles, but someone reacting to that video. So it's in the bottom corner, and she's up here.
Right.
So,
which was annoying as hell.
And-
Yeah, she wasn't a good reaction. But I wanted y'all to see the video.
I don't want to see somebody's reaction.
It's like
I'm literally
super popular
watching somebody
genre.
watching a
But there's a
video.
reason
No,
why I
like,
sent you the
But
reaction.
at the
though.
time,
There's a
I was
reason
watching
for
it,
it.
I would be like,
I know.
dude,
Continue.
this would be the best way, because reaction videos are so popular, to promote the video in the bottom. It seemed like, exactly like you said, maybe that is the original video, because there was never a video to begin with. Like her reaction. Oh, you have seen that?
No,
one.
because
Okay.
I've seen that. I've seen that video.
I thought you were saying something else. I thought you were
I've
saying they
seen
were
that original
advertising
video.
the small video in a clever way, because that would be kind of clever.
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh man. What were you gonna say?
So talking about the censorship on there, so that is one thing that we'll talk about on another episode. That was one of the big things that the QAnon people were talking about.
Yes.
How the media is censoring and hiding a lot of this stuff. That goes into that theory with them.
I don't know if we're going to keep this in or not, but Omar, the podcast that I showed you with the New York Times, the one that I was like, dude, there's no way they're going to be so anti Republican or conservative. It's going to be gross. And it ended up being really good, where they followed that guy that got really deep into QAnon and got really deep into Proud Boys and all that stuff, and that there's this master plan to take the white race out of society through interracial marriage and blah 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 blah.
It's really interesting.
And they did a thing where how he got radicalized was through YouTube and their suggested video computer or whatever that they use, their algorithms. And so what it does is it's a funnel. So it'll start with a wide range of things that you watch, and it'll pick up on it, and then it'll start to it'll do little test suggestions to see what you watch more of and what you stick on. And then so as it goes down, it'll start this wide, but then as it goes down, it just kind of funnels you into this hole where now you're only listening to the most extreme version of what you first started. And so it became a problem. YouTube actually even admitted they were doing it for views, but they didn't realize that it was going to turn into radicalizing. So, and that's a lot of not just right wing, but left wing also. Left wing, there was a lot of Antifa stuff.
Just anything.
Yeah, Antifa stuff, terrorism, Al Qaeda.
Whatever you're into.
Yeah.
It just gets too hardcore. Because where you're only really... I mean, it's good.
Well, it sucks you down. It sucks you down a drain. It sucks you down
because it becomes so accurate. It's such a good algorithm.
Yes, that's what they were saying.
Yeah,
it's so accurate to where it gets exactly what you want. And you're like, oh, but the bad thing is that now that's all you're consuming.
You only get one side. Exactly.
And you have to have a broader view.
And supposedly that's what they're doing now. So they have things that purposely have opposing views no matter what you're looking at, just to kind of give you that option to get the full story. But that doesn't have anything to do why they took out the great conspiracy documentaries. There were so many good conspiracy documentaries, with the Rothschilds and the banking system and the lizard people, Illuminati. There were so many good ones that even if you don't believe it, they were still fun to watch.
People got
so fun.
And like you said, both sides. I don't care. I'm never gonna talk about politics, but I think people realize that a lot of people that do silly things, crazy things, get in the weeds and believe a lot of those theories. The guy that just blew up his what was it? The guy that he blew up his van, his RV, that guy. Yeah,
he blew up his RV in Nashville.
5G towers were gonna kill us. He thought, he believed in the lizard people.
And the lizard people.
He believed in lizard people.
All of that kind of stuff. So it's already been said, and either left or right. If you watch those things, it's possible that you could go down the path and be radicalized. Your brain can change in whatever way. And I think that they are kind of cleaning that up for that reason, not for another conspiracy to stop like people from getting like misinformation.
And see where my conspiracy brain goes. My conspiracy mind goes to, okay, so people are getting too good at showing these documentaries and too good at pointing out the things that we really meant to be subconscious and not like in the forefront. So what can we do to make it to where it's looked down upon to be on YouTube, right? So let's say you killed the guy. And this is extreme, I have no proof, but let's say you killed him beforehand. You put him in the RV, and then you staged a bunch of like lizard people, Illuminati, QAnon, and you stage it throughout his house, right? But he's already dead in the thing because it's an automatic thing that's playing like move away from this bomb, blah, 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 blah. Blows up. They're not going to be able to tell if he was dead before or after the bomb. He's going to be in a million pieces. There's no way they can tell. And then now there's this QAnon, there's this lizard people, Illuminati, all this stuff, and they're like, oh, it's dangerous. Now it's dangerous, so we have to limit it on YouTube. But it was their plan all along to make it seem that way. That's where my conspiracy mind kind of comes in. That would be the smartest way to legitimately get it off of YouTube. Instead of just being like, well, I don't know, it's just not good content. And then people are like, well, it's good content to me because I was watching it. But if you come from the argument of, well, it's dangerous. Like, we've had people actually do horrible things. But did they? Or was it Illuminati that set up the whole thing just to make it look like it was dangerous to look at videos like that? Because they really don't want you to look at videos like that.
Just say anything, then. If you could just say anything, then yeah,
we'll
you
never know.
Say anything, do anything.
Just say anything.
Well, we don't know. He was blown up to pieces. We don't know how he really died. We don't know if he was dead before or not.
I am shocked how far into the darkness
do know. Yeah, Rich, you're getting dark, doggy.